Coming up on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, we talk a little bit about the quarterback competition and how they are going in week 2. We also talk about quarterback recruiting and why Ole Miss fans need to reshape their thinking about the 2023 class. And also, we look at this site and how we are going to handle coverage moving forward. I just want to take a second to tell you all what's going on and how we do things. It's a little bit different, and I do want y'all to take part in that. So anyway, this is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So do us a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit us up by selecting the bell so you'll be notified when new videos go up, and of course, upvote the video itself. Once the channel hits 1,000 subscribers by football season, we will be doing a live post-game show, hopefully containing some Ole Miss legends in the background to tell you everything that's going on in their game. So, should be a lot of fun. Anyway, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, like I've told you all the time, we're going to talk about the quarterback competition pretty much every day until Labor Day. Anybody that says there's not a quarterback competition is obviously rooting for Luke Altmyer to transfer and for the team to be weakened. So if you say there's no competition, I will automatically assume that is your end goal. But there is a quarterback competition. Lane Kiffin talks about the quarterback competition. He talks about the escalation of play. And whenever Lane Kiffin talked in his press conference Tuesday, he spoke about specifically what it would be like at quarterback and the fact that they're turning the ball over too much down the field. What does that mean? Well, that means they're taking some shots. Now, this is practice, and this is the spring. And the 3-2-6 is that Arkansas defense that Matt Corral threw 6 interceptions against. It's a notoriously tough defense to pass against. Bryce Young, who won the Heisman Trophy, threw for like 180 yards against this defense. It is difficult to break this defense down in the pass game. The 3-safety defense, the way it goes, it just affects quarterbacks right now and what they do, because basically what they do is use the rules of football against the offense. The things that they're just ingrained in their whole life to where they can't break these rules, they use them against the offenses. So, for instance, if a quarterback leaves the pocket, and the number one rule is do not throw back across the middle of the field, well, this defense has it set up, and you've seen it numerous times, to where the middle linebacker just breaks off and rushes and leaves a big opening in the middle of the field, but he rushes the quarterback and he makes plays because the quarterback is trained over and over again. It's almost muscle memory not to throw the ball back across the middle of the field. So that's an example of using the offense's rules against them. That's what this defense does. So Jaxson Dart, seeing this potentially for the first time, this 3-safety defense, he's going to struggle with it. Everybody that sees it the first time struggles with it. He's going to get better and better and better at it. That's just going to happen. But he's a guy that thinks he has every throw in his arsenal. He can make every throw. He can do whatever. It doesn't matter if the guy's covered. He will throw them open. And that gunslinger mentality can get a quarterback in trouble, especially against this defense. So he's going to get better consistently, but it's going to take a little bit of time. There's going to be a thing. And people that just want to anoint this as there's no quarterback competition, they're just foolhardy, honestly. They just want it to be. They want to make assumptions. So, they want to believe that this is already done because he wouldn't have come to Ole Miss if he wasn't going to win the job, and Lane Kiffin wouldn't have taken him if he wasn't going to give him the job, and they just want this to be ignoring it because they just don't want to wait. It's an impulse thing. It's not a right or wrong or know anything about football thing. It's an impulse thing. So people are going to be like that from time to time. And you see that all the time in the comment section below. You see it in comments in every article in the world. That impulse control issue is the reason, because they just don't want to wait for the quarterback competition to play out. They want the answer now. Give me the answer now. Give it to me. It's the way it is. So they start making assumptions to, well, this isn't even a competition because the likely outcome might be a certain way. So they're just going to bet that from the beginning. And that's kind of a flawed way to look at this. And thank goodness the people that are doing this are so risk averse, they're not looking at it this way. So what people need to realize, there's several facets of this competition that people need to know. Jaxson Dart is an extremely toolsy. That's one. 2, Jaxson Dart has not seen SEC defenses before. That's 2. 3, Luke Altmyer has a year head start in the Lane Kiffin offense. That's 3. And 4, it's going to be up to Jaxson Dart to close that experience gap down, because if that experience gap still stands at the end of spring, then all of a sudden the fall gets interesting. The pressure mounts a little bit for Jaxson Dart. Like I said, he's a toolsy guy. He's the Gatorade National Player of the Year. Expectations are off the charts. But that doesn't mean he's going to be the starting quarterback. There is a path for Luke Altmyer to win this job. If there wasn't, he would have left in January, period. The fact that he stuck around and was willing to compete shows you exactly how competitive and how the right mindset of a quarterback he is. So just pay attention to what's going on. Actually, on Saturday, if you go to the practice, watch the quarterbacks, the throws. Are they throwing safe throws? Are they making risky throws? And the question becomes, whenever you start making those downfield throws look easy, they look routine, they look like the safe throws. Whenever they look like that, you're probably where you need to be. But until then, they're going to start with these safe throws, and then they're going to try and work their way forward. If you have extreme confidence like our gunslinger has, he's got a little Brett Favre in him, as we've explained over and over again, that he's going to try and make all these throws downfield, because he's an extremely good downfield thrower, by the way. Unbelievable athlete, good downfield thrower. He is legit. Like I said, Gatorade National Player of the Year. They do not just give that out. First one that has ever come to Ole Miss. He will have an immense amount of pressure once he lines up at quarterback, because, like I said, the probability is that he will be the starting quarterback. But that is the probability that he will win the quarterback competition, not that there's not one. That's the point about that. Anyway, I do want to tell you about athletic greens. So, I just didn't have a whole bunch of time, and I wanted supplements that actually taste great and wanted to see what the hype was all about. So now I've been on athletic greens for a couple weeks, and I love it. It doesn't taste super like it's super healthy, and it has a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to each morning. So, why do you personally consume it? When do you take it? In the mornings, you just try to get what you're going. You take your vitamins in the morning. You do whatever you need to do. It's just like that, except it's a single glass of greens. Me and my wife enjoy it every day. So this is what it is. Right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you free a 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/college. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/college to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So that sounds like a pretty good deal, and it's a good way to stay healthy because, as we've seen, you want to be healthy. Anyway, I love and hate those buzzer beaters, the drama, but the pain when you're on the other side of it, I really was whenever Bryce Drew hit that shot way back when. But, so I know what that's like, so I needed that not to go into survive, but you know how it is. Anyway, Stat Hero's NCAA single game pick'ems picked the star players against each other in an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. Take control back from those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Start focusing on those players that you know best with the gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in their gamers winning 4 times more often. Why? Because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you are going up against. So this is what you do right now. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon and use promo code LOCKEDON. That's all one word, locked on. For a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. You can say whatever you want to say. Just give us a 5-star review. That'll help others find their podcast if they are searching about it. So that is iTunes, 5-star review. So in the first segment, we talked about the quarterback competition, as is expected. We're going to talk about that quite a bit. Now, the other thing is, I kind of want to talk about the fan base and the changeover that has happened, that I don't know if the fan base is there at this point. Now, we just had a quarterback at Ole Miss that is going to be a first-round draft pick, Matt Corral. The Gatorade National Player of the Year is on campus right now, was a top 100 recruit, backed up by consensus top 175 recruit, 4-star. Everybody is putting their hopes and dreams or whatever they do just almost out of habit. I think it is almost out of habit with Arch Manning. And I'm not saying Arch Manning's not going to Ole Miss. In fact, until he signs with somebody else, I'm going to assume he's going to Ole Miss. But there's a segment of our fan base that for some reason is putting all kinds of pressure on the hopes and dreams on Arch Manning. And that doesn't make much sense at all. Because if you look at what we've had in recent years, what we have right now, and what we are going after, listen, Ole Miss is actively recruiting, 3 of the top 7 recruits in the 2023 class, with getting visits from 2 of them pretty consistently. Arch Manning's coming up there. He's been to Oxford several times as well. But there's an on-3 equivalent of crystal ball, I forget what it's called, maybe an RPM or something like that, for Jalen Rashada to end up at Ole Miss, who had an amazing day at 7-on-7 this past weekend, by the way. Really amazing day. And Christopher Vizina out of Alabama has been to Ole Miss several times as well. So, out of those 3 guys, Ole Miss is going to end up with a top 50 player likely playing quarterback. It doesn't matter which one goes. That's what they have set up. And that is the recruiting path that they have taken over the last couple of years. And these people that have a savior complex with Arch Manning because of the last name. Let's not forget, it's because of the last name. It's because of Eli. It's because of Archie. It is not, I don't think anybody that is in this savior complex has actually seen the kid play. Now, he's good. He's a 6'4", 215-pound high school kid with a year of high school left to play. He's pretty well put together. But Jalen Rashada is 6'4", 185, same thing. 29th player in the country nationally. Christopher Vizina, 6'4", 207. Number 53 player in the country nationally, according to 247 Sports. So, these people that have a savior complex, and I'm going to ask this question in the comments below. If y'all can address this in the comments below, tell me why the savior complex exists for Arch Manning, and why so many people are looking at this the same way they did Peyton back in the day. Is that a habit? Is it out of a little Ole Miss mindset? Tell me exactly what's going on, because I have zero doubts right now of Ole Miss being able to have a competitive quarterback in their system. Zero. Absolutely zero. Why? Recent history shows that they get what they need. They recruit at a high level at the quarterback position. They are an excellent place of getting quarterbacks. And this is something that Bo Wallace and Chad Kelly started. Matt Corral is not here if it's not for Chad Kelly. Chad Kelly is the guy that won the Sugar Bowl. He's second, I think he's second or third in the SEC in total offense all time behind Johnny Football. He's the one that proved it could be done here. Matt Corral followed those footsteps and put up huge numbers himself. Now, it's going to be either Jaxson Dart or Luke Altmyer. In 2023, after them, whenever you recruit them, it's going to be Arch Manning, Jaden Rashada, or Christopher Vizina. Nobody knows which one it's going to be. It's absolutely hilarious when it comes to that. Now, I do think it's funny. You have this RPM projection thing that too many people take seriously, by the way. But what that is an algorithm. So basically, if you yell the loudest, you have a chance to raise your percentage up. Yell the loudest, raise the percentage up. If 7 articles come out from a Texas site that talk about Arch Manning going to Texas, all of a sudden the RPM is going to go up. They're going to account for all that in artificial intelligence. They are. That's just the way that works. And they're going to do stories about that change. They're going to make content off of the RPM stories or RPM listing that came from the internal network stories printing about the quarterback, which is going to cause the RPM to move again, which is going to allow them to do additional stories. And it's all a self-fulfilling prophecy. I do not trust it too much at all. I don't think people realize exactly what's going on with football right now. It's interesting, and we live in the world of NIL, transfer portal. Remember, when it comes to recruiting, it's not so important that you win on a high school kid anymore. It's important that you finish in the top 2. Understand that. You saw that with Zach Evans. You saw that this last time with the transfer portal. Everybody flocked over. You're going to piss off a kid after you sign him. Now that he has a get-out-of-jail-free card and kids are notoriously immature, they're going to move on. Where are they going to move on to? The place that they almost went to. So it's a way, if you want to build in the transfer portal, a way to get top-quality recruits. Now, think about if the transfer portal existed when Joe McKnight in the meat market period was there. Think of how many times Ole Miss came in second in that era. Those players. I mean, there's players that went to LSU, USC, all over the country. But Ole Miss finished second. You think they got pissed off at some point when they decided to go to their chosen school? Probably. But they had no recourse. If they could have, I guarantee you, it could have been Joe McKnight. It could have been the running back that went to LSU. It could have been all of that said, man, I wish I would have went to Ole Miss. And with that get-out-of-jail-free card, he could have. So just understand this. Oxford's a good place to go. It's a nice place to visit. And it is a perfect setup for a football factory. I know some people don't want football factories, but it is a perfect setup for a football factory. And a lot because there's not a whole bunch to do. You can kind of go there and play football. You're an hour away from Memphis. You're an hour away from Tupelo. I mean, the square and the traffic and everything, if you want to fight what's going on there, you can, but there's not a whole bunch to do. It's just football. You go to Ole Miss to be a pro. That's why they're going to Ole Miss, and that is why recruiting is going up to a higher level, because of that benefit. Alabama's the same way. You think Tuscaloosa, Alabama sells because it's a cosmopolitan place? No. It's kind of isolated and perfect for a football factory. Alabama's made that into a football factory. Auburn's doing the same thing. Using that. Now, you see towny type schools like LSU and Tennessee trying to find ways to improve themselves and make them competitive, because there's a lot of stuff to do. But coaches, this is a deep, dark secret, they don't want a lot of stuff to do. They like it isolated. They do not want to do it. They might recruit to, it's like, oh yeah, you have all of this stuff here, come here. They don't want you to use it, not even a little bit. If they had their choice, they would put you in an athletic dorm on a curfew every night for 4 years. They would essentially treat you like the Red Army hockey team for the USSR in the mid-'80s. They would treat you like that, to where you just are assigned to a barracks, they lock the doors, and let's go. And knowing that, it's kind of a thing with Baton Rouge and Knoxville. It's kind of hard to mesh those ideas. But in places like Ole Miss, at Alabama, at Auburn, Starkville even, Fayetteville, they're places where football factories can take off fairly easily. They're all sleeping giants because the isolation, the fact that you can come there just for football. You're not coming there to be some kind of cultural icon down the road. And you might end up moving back. You might like that. But while you're there playing football, you're there for football. And that definitely helps Ole Miss. And that's why Ole Miss, a lot of times when they're in the top 2, they might lose out because somebody thinks they want to do something else. But now with the transfer portal, they can move on and concentrate so much on football only. I mean, Ole Miss has a great setup. Their practice fields, it's pretty fantastic. And the way they do it with the indoor facility, the practice fields, the tunnel to the stadium, everything is set up really well for a football factory. It just is. I know people want to talk about academics and what's going on, but at the end of the day, that really just doesn't matter. In the age of NIL and essentially professional athletes, the academic standing doesn't really matter. It just doesn't. There's some people that's going to be upset by that. I understand that. But in this age, if you're there to play football, you're there to play football. If you're there like everybody else, if you're there to train for your chosen profession, and those guys' chosen profession is professional athletics, why not? Just let them train for it. Anyway. This is the time of year I've pretty much given up on all my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. This year I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. Have you tried the Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They're delicious. They're new flavors that are coming out all the time. If they think a flavor might be good, they'll make it. It'll be delicious, and it will be good for you because at Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then they figure out how to make it healthy, and I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. So here's the offer. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15, all one word, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Do us a favor and rate and review us on iTunes. And also don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel because once we hit 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, a live interactive post-game show for Ole Miss Football is in the cards. And we're probably about 350 away from getting there now. I think we're going to get there fairly easily. But the sooner we get there, the better. So if you can do us a favor and subscribe, I would appreciate it very much. So this channel is going to be a little bit different moving forward. There became a narrative in Ole Miss sports where everybody is very homogenous of what's going on. They do things the same way. They talk the same way. They have the same type opinions of what's going on. And their goal is to inflict fear on you and cause you to subscribe to their service because they only have the answer. And that's fine. That's fine. But what I wanted to do, and the COVID year and after my surgery and everything else, I wanted to do this, is to change the narrative a little bit. I want it to make Ole Miss football or Ole Miss sports fun again. I want it to make you look forward to looking what's going on. I want it to treat you like an adult and not tell you that doing the We Are Ole Miss thing and all of that. I wanted you to have fun with what's going on. And that is this grand experiment that we're doing, and it's working and it's growing, and I'm seeing the comment numbers grow along with the view count, and I'm extremely, extremely thankful to you guys for that. But most important, like I said, I wanted to make Ole Miss football or Ole Miss sports fun again for fans. I wanted to be a place where people can come and talk and not be afraid of showing optimism on what's going on. If you want to be a cynic, that's great. But if you're a cynic over and over again, I'll just start deleting your post on the comment section below. Because then it doesn't make sense. It's not fun. Now, you might believe that this is the way it's going to be because if you're negative all the time, this is important to know, by the way. If you take it with negative all the time, eventually you will be right. That is the nature of college sports. Even when things are going positive, if you want to be negative, you can take that straight through and eventually you will be right. That is the nature of college sports. But in doing that, people are just basically hate watching what you're doing at that point. And they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And you become such a cynic whenever stuff like that happens. And so, like I said, I wanted to make Ole Miss sports following it fun again. And I tell you, whenever an offense is going to be the most talented we have seen, I'm going to talk to you like an adult. Just an absolute adult because you can handle it. Because there's no consequences if Ole Miss loses a game. None. Zero. Unless you talk noise, which is, that's your doing. That's your problem. But I'm going to level with you straight. I'm going to do a post-game pod go back to the Tennessee series and see how I handled that. That is the type of stuff I'm going to do. Now, I'm telling you basically what this channel is going to be like because Kara McCutcheon's not here today. Today was her day to come on. She got called in for work. That is absolutely fine. What's going on? Tomorrow, Tom Vanderford, we're going to do some perspective stuff and talk about that. But always demand that following sports is fun. Because if it's not fun, why are you doing it? If it's not enjoyable, why are you doing it? You get made to care about things that are completely inconsequential. Almost like professional wrestling. If you follow the ins and outs in recruiting, it's almost just like professional wrestling. None of that matters. And they're wrong about 98% of the time. So why are you following it and why are you paying such close attention to it? That is my question for you. Anyway, like I said, I want to make following Ole Miss sports fun again. And I want to do that in a different way that's completely fair to both sides. Instead of concentrating on who lost the game, which is the easy, lazy narrative to do it, I want to concentrate on who won the game. So many times, Ole Miss football over the last 10 years, it turned into either Auburn lost the game or Ole Miss lost the game, or whoever Ole Miss was playing. It turned into a lose-lose proposition. I don't want to do that. Tennessee looked fairly good. I mean, they looked really good. And that needs to be pointed out. Because you don't see stuff like that, and you don't get to where you're being by tearing down. It's always about building up, and these are 18 to 21 kids, and treat them like adults because they are adults. If you can join the military, if you can vote, if you can get drafted, you are an adult. And I mean, if you commit a crime, you get tried as an adult. You are an adult, 18 to 21. So whenever people say kids, everybody does it, including me, honestly. I just kind of scoff a little bit at it. But understand that I most want this to be fun. That is the goal for all of this, is complete fun. And because of that, I'm going to treat you exactly like an adult. I'm going to talk about an offense that is the most talented that Ole Miss has had since I was alive, perhaps before then. I'm going to tell you about a defense that has a chance. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I don't have a financial interest on any of the players. I'm going to tell you the real story. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening. If Ole Miss lost a game because the other team was better, we're going to talk about the other team and how good they were. Period. It is not a surprise. It is not a big thing. College sports, and everybody should have fun following them. And that's what I most want for you, is having fun following sports. So next week, Kara will be back, and we'll get her perspective of what's going on, because this channel is all about perspectives and commentary. We provide commentary about around the atmosphere of Ole Miss sports, and that includes the media, and that upsets them, which is actually kind of hilarious because they spend their time critiquing a head coach, but they don't like to be critiqued themselves. And also getting perspectives from different people that have played. They're just fans. Maybe they have a high social presence. It doesn't matter. That's where we get our perspectives from. And that way you can get a well-rounded view of Ole Miss football and make sure nobody is pumping sunshine. Because, that happens. But I just wanted to take time to do that, because we've gotten a bunch of new followers recently and a bunch of new people watching the show and following the podcast. And I just wanted to let them know what we are and what we are all about. So anyway, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. Tune in tomorrow for information on Thursday's practice. That's 5. That'll be spring practice a third of the way over. Just goes back really fast. Now make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight, analysis, and on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Hope everybody has a good day. Friday morning we'll have a Locked On show. There will not be a post-game pod Friday night for the Kentucky game. I am going to Disney with my wife that night, and we're eating at Mama Melrose's at Hollywood Studios. So we have an appointment for that, so that'll happen during the game. So we're probably going to miss that post-game pod. So just know that. So anyway, until then, have a good day, and I will see you then. Hotty toddy.